There's a lot of marketing out there that you should be taking probiotics every single day, which is great for the companies because they've got you for life and they're making millions, but you shouldn't need to take them every single day because the probiotics should be used clinically to help with a certain deficit in a certain beneficial bacteria, or they can be linked in with certain cases. So like there's great research if you have, say, acne or you have anxiety, certain strains of probiotics are helpful in those cases. So you take them for like usually 90-ish days, not for your whole life.
This episode is supported by the Bishop Stortford community newsletter. There's so much happening in town, it's hard to keep up. New businesses opening, community events, local stories, and opportunities for all of us to get involved and make Bishop Stortford a great place to live. That's why we created a free weekly newsletter that brings together the best at Bishop Stortford in one place. There's no endless scrolling of hunting through Facebook groups, just the stories, events, and local updates that matter. If you'd like to stay connected to what's happening in Bishop Stortford, sign up using the link in the show notes. Okay, back to the episode. Welcome to the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast, the show where we shine a light on the incredible businesses, community leaders, and local legends shaping our town. I'm your host, James O'Donnell, and today we are joined by Nuala. Nuala, great to have you on the show.
Yes, James. I've been really excited for this one.
For those of us who don't know you yet, Nuala, who are you and what do you do here in the Bishop Stortford community?
So my name's Nuala and I am a degree qualified nutritionist, and my focus area is really on gut health. So helping people to elevate their gut microbiome through what they eat, potentially microbiome testing, and kind of treating those digestive discomforts.
And so you say you're degree qualified in this. So you must have been interested in this from an early age. What was the spark? What kind of pushed you in this direction?
So I always loved food from a family who loved cooking and entertaining. I then had my own digestive discomforts, and that led me on a journey to getting diagnosed with celiac disease. And those moments of why me? Why is my stomach like this? Why am I always looking for toilets? Kind of led me to delve more into nutrition. And at the time I was working in marketing. So then I retrained basically on the side, doing like a diploma, then the Uni of Aberdeen, and then pulled back my marketing hours and slowly built my nutrition practice to where it is now.
I love the idea of retraining into areas where your passion lies. And what do you do now? Who are your kind of the main people that you support?
Mainly people who get that label of IBS. So you've been to your doctor, you may have diarrhea, constipation, bloating, any of those digestive discomforts. Your doctor said, like, there's nothing severe going on, we've done all the tests, you have IBS. And often they walk out of that doctor's surgery because that's kind of the end of the care. That doctor, they might get referred to a dietitian, but most unlikely not, given some leaflets. And those are the type of people who I work with who are just feeling a little bit lost. I've got this label, what do I do next?
And do people miss things in that diagnosis process? Is it like, do people misunderstand what's happening to their body, or do doctors misunderstand and misdiagnose people?
I think the doctors do their best, and the NHS is amazing, and I never want to be negative towards them, but there is fundamentally a lack of training in nutrition as part of your degree as a doctor. So that's not necessarily the doctor's fault. There's also just the NHS is overrun, and you see that with other services, like say you have stoma surgery or you have type 2 diabetes, so you get that initial crisis kind of management, this is what's going on, maybe 1 or 2 appointments and off you go. And I think a lot of that is just the system of how it runs.
Yeah, it's, the NHS is designed essentially for emergencies, isn't it? Keeping you alive. You're alive, you can walk. Get on your way. But then there's obviously quality of life that you're helping to support. So what is if I'm suffering, if I've been diagnosed with this, and I need more help, what kind of journey would you take me on to support me?
Good question. So I always start with a free, what I call strategy call, and that is just to understand whether we're a good fit. So medically, have you had the right tests done? Sometimes someone will flag saying I've got X symptom, but I haven't had X tested. I just want to make sure that I go back to the doctors and get that ruled out so I can do my job knowing we haven't missed anything. Also like good personality fit as well. You're going to be sharing some intricate details with me about your stool movements, your routine, your family life, your food structure, and you've got to feel comfortable with sharing that. From that situation, we move into like a package, and generally you sign up to work with me for an allotted amount of time, which kicks off the initial consult. Basically, this is where we go through all your history. So I use the acronym GUT. So G is like your goals for working with me. U is for uncovering. So like, what's your history? Was there a trigger? What foods don't you eat? How has it impacted your life? Trying to understand that so I can treat you holistically as well and not just a symptom. Because say you've got diarrhea, like that one can often be linked with like mental health, stress, things like that. And then the T is for tailoring. So what are we going to do based on this? And I take all this information and write up a protocol for you, which is usually around 3 months worth of stuff. And then I also do gut microbiome testing. So this is a great thing. It sounds a bit scary, but you essentially do a stool sample in the safety of your home, put it in a test tube and send it off. And that gets analysed so I can understand the unique makeup of your gut. So what short chain fatty acids do you have? What beneficial bacteria do you have or do you not have? Are there any pathogens in there? Anything more negative going on? And that can help give insights as to why you're feeling certain symptoms. And then you come back to me and we do a results review session and we kind of build on the protocol that I've given you and bring in the data to give you kind of a path. At that point, you can take the path, implement it yourself, or you can work with me and see me like every kind of 2 weeks to get a bit more guidance throughout it, because life is not linear and easy. Following a journey on a piece of paper doesn't always match what happens when you have holidays, sickness, stress. And that's where working with me one-to-one can really help you try and push and change things as these hurdles occur.
And that's a pathway for people that have been diagnosed that you can take people on and support people. Is there kind of more general advice that you can talk to? Because I think more and more people are becoming aware of their biome, their gut biome, gut health, all of those kind of things. I know in the days that we've got living in now of social media, I'm guessing there are loads of Me Too's and pieces of advice flying around that maybe aren't as helpful as others. Is that something that you help with?
Yeah, so the other option is like an initial consult, which I just call like a health MOT. So you can come in and say, I don't have bad gut symptoms, but I don't know what to do for my gut. And your gut can be linked with like your skin, your lungs, your brain function, all these other things that are happening in your body, which you may want to optimize, or even just like longevity. That if you have a strong, healthy gut microbiome, you're going to be more resilient and therefore less likely to pick up disease and have immune-related issues. And those sessions are really good just to be like, so what are you eating? For breakfast, we could do this to improve it. You're supposed to eat, say, 30 plant species a week, which sounds scary. It's actually really easy once you like think about your herbs, your nuts, your seeds, your spices, all of those sorts of things. And I could maybe say, well, look, at dinner, if you did this, or here's 5 recipes to try next week, choose your top 3. And that will just boost a certain fiber type you're missing or things like that.
Quick pause, because this episode is supported by StortAI. Most businesses know AI is probably going to help their business in one way or the other. The problem is they're so busy running their business, they don't know where to start, they don't know what questions to ask. That's where StortAI comes in. We sit down with businesses, look at how things actually work day to day, and identify simple ways to save time, reduce admin, and improve systems using AI and other automation tools. There's no jargon or complicated technology. It's just practical ideas to make life just a little bit easier as a business owner. If you're curious about what AI could do for your business, have a look at StortAI in the show notes. Okay, back to the episode. Is there any advice that people have kind of blindly followed online, thinking that they were doing the right thing, but actually it was counterproductive?
Yeah, the key one I see are 2 things. One is when someone comes to me and says they've been on X supplement for X reason for X number of years. And I'm like, if you're on that supplement for years, your like root cause of why it's not in your diet or why your body's not processing it properly has never been addressed. You're just like band-aiding the issue. And the second one kind of links in quite nicely is probiotics. There's a lot of marketing out there that you should be taking probiotics every single day, which is great for the companies because they've got you for life and they're making millions, but you shouldn't need to take them every single day because the probiotics should be used clinically to help with a certain deficit in a certain beneficial bacteria, or they can be linked in with certain cases. So like there's great research if you have, say, acne or you have anxiety, certain strains of probiotics are helpful in those cases. So you take them for like usually 90-ish days, not for your whole life.
Interesting. So they kind of create a habit for people, but it's actually not necessary. That's really interesting. One of my children's doctors, my son was having a lot of antibiotics over a 12-month period, yes. And she suggested that we introduce kefir into his diet as a way of repopulating his gut biome, for want of a better term. And that's something now we're doing religiously every day. Am I doing the thing wrong or am I doing the thing right?
You're doing it right. So when I talk to clients, we talk about 3 pillars of health, and that's probiotics, prebiotics, and diversity. So you're knocking it on the head with the probiotics. Kefir is a great natural source. You could strengthen that by introducing different probiotics, because if you buy one brand of kefir, it'll most likely have the same strains of beneficial bacteria. If you change brands, that can sometimes change. But if you say introduced, I'm trying to think of a child-friendly, I was going to say like kombucha potentially they might eat, or you could try like a bit of sauerkraut if you cut it up small.
Something fermented, basically.
Yeah. Then you would bring in different beneficial bacteria. And what we know with the gut is that there's a correlation between the wider range of species in your gut and that correlating with a stronger gut microbiome. It's so hard in the research because there's so many different things impacting your gut, but that's what we generally know. So going back to your son, kefir is great. You're getting daily probiotics. If you strengthen that by kind of widening the net, getting more probiotics, more beneficial bacteria, then your child's going to have a stronger gut, stronger immune system, and hopefully have to beat it on antibiotics less.
Wonderful. I think that's fantastic advice. And I think, as I said to you before, there's lots and lots of people now talking about this. It's kind of dropped into the language, hasn't it? People talking about gut health and what works and what doesn't. But actually having someone like yourself who knows what they're talking about, rather than bro science, I suppose, that exists out there now, is fantastic. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing all of that. If people are interested in connecting with you, maybe having a conversation or a consult, where's the best place for them to do that online?
Yeah, either my website, so thenutritiousway.com, or you can follow me on Instagram, _nutritious_way. Bit of a mouthful, but yeah, excellent. They're the 2 places that I alert.
Awesome. I will put links to that in the show notes so anybody can just follow along with those, and that will be tagged in all the clips that we put out as well. And thanks, Nuala. Are you ready for some Stortford Spotlight questions now?
Yes, I am. Got my notes up.
Brilliant. This episode is being supported by one of my businesses, a brilliant local business called StortBox. If you've ever moved house, you'll know the pain of hunting for cardboard boxes, building them, taping them up, and then figuring out what to do with them afterwards. StortBox makes moving simpler with strong, reusable moving crates delivered straight to your door and collected when you're finished. Less stress, less waste, and a much easier move. It's a local business helping local people move smarter. So have a look at StortBox in the show notes below and see if it can make your next move a little bit easier. Okay, back to the episode. These are 3 super fast questions that we ask every guest that comes onto the Bishop Stortford Community podcast. First question. If you could put one sentence on a billboard in Jackson Square, what would it say and who needs to hear it the most?
I would say to prioritize your gut health, and that this is something that's applicable to everybody, which you've touched on beautifully with your child. Like, they also need help, as well as adults, old people, etc.
And what would be a good first step for them, rather than necessarily contacting you? What do you think prioritizing means?
Yeah. So it's thinking about that check-in. How is your gut? You know if your gut's talking to you. Do you have any symptoms that you're not quite, when your symptoms aren't right, or like you're rushing to the toilet, that sort of thing. And then it's also thinking about your daily kind of diet, going back to those 3 pillars I mentioned earlier: daily probiotics, prebiotics, and diversity. So those are really easy things you can kind of do at home. And by kind of tapping into that, you might understand some of the correlations. So a big one is often coffee. People will have 1, 2 coffees in the morning, and they may feel the need to excrete directly after that coffee, which isn't always not the best combination, because often that's quite triggering the coffee, which means you need to go to the toilet quite quickly, which means your gut isn't getting the time it needs to digest the food, and it's being pushed out of you too quickly.
Fantastic advice. Thanks, Nuala. Okay, question 2. Where do you go in Stortford that you secretly hope never gets too popular?
Okay, this is a bit of a tenuous link. I was trying to think of the best thing, and I didn't want to just do food, whatever. So I was going to say the park run. I have lived in Sydney for the last couple of years, and we did a lot of park runs. We did a New Year's Day park run every single year. So when I was deciding what to do for New Year's in the UK, it's cold, it's dark, it's very different to Sydney. I was really happy to see that there was a New Year's Day park run in Bishop Stortford, which I went to, and it was such a nice way to start the year. And it's such a nice community event, and everyone was so kind of friendly and welcoming, especially when you get to put your hand up and be like, it's my first time. So yeah, I wouldn't want that to get too busy, because otherwise it turns into a stampede of people. But yeah, I really enjoy that.
Fantastic. It's a great shout out. Park run on Castle Park is one of the mainstays of Bishop Stortford, and we've had them on the podcast, but it's a great way to bring the community together, and it's run by a really good group of people as well, investing their time in the community. Couldn't ask for anything more. Thanks, Nuala.
It is. Everyone was like so chatty and friendly. That was so nice to kind of meet everybody and not just turn up and run. And
Awesome.
You could be anywhere.
Thanks, Nuala. Okay, and last question. Who's doing something special in town that more people need to know about?
Yes. So for this one, I was going to spotlight Joe Higgs' networking event. So Joe and I both presented at another networking event earlier this year. And often with these networking events, you have to pay, which often stacks up if you want to do multiple in a month. And this is a big focus for me this year, to just get myself out there, being newer to this community as well. And she and a colleague run a free one every month, Bishop Stortford, and they actually welcome children as well. So it could be one for you to go to. And yeah, I thought that would be a good one to spotlight.
Yeah, we've had Jo on the podcast. She's a fantastic local businesswoman. And that event that she puts on, yeah, it's a great little local meetup for independent businesses in town. And I love the fact that there's lots more businesses that are doing these kind of collaborations with each other, supporting each other. So let's get more people along to that. We'll tag Jo and the event in the notes as well. So any small business owners out there, let's get along to that and share some ideas, share some thoughts, share some partnerships together. Nuala, where's the best place again for people to find you online and follow along with your story?
thenutritiousway.com or Instagram, _nutritious_way.
Those will be linked in the show notes so everyone can follow that along with that. Nuala, that's the end of your first podcast. Congratulations. Well done. Thank you for joining us on the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast.
Thank you for having me. That was not as scary as I thought it would be.
That's great feedback. That's great feedback. Thanks, Nuala. If you've enjoyed this episode, the best way that you can support us, the show, is to hit follow, leave a quick review on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify, and then share it on your socials, or maybe share it in town with someone who's not on social media but you think might benefit from Nuala's advice. And if you've got a local legend, someone like Jo, who has put on community events in town to bring people together, or like park runners even, that you think we should feature on the podcast, drop their name in the comments below and I can reach out to them and invite them on. Again, Nuala, thank you so much for joining us today on the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast.
Thanks, James.
Thanks, Nuala.